Got this from Polymarket. U.S. military action against Iran before July. Now, it's dropped quite a bit, probably because of statements they've given out.
Oh, great. We're
But
at 50-50.
At 8 p.m., it hit 66.9% in the Polymarket predictions. It's currently at 44.
Thank goodness that it's below 50-50.
But look at it skyrocket. Yeah, below 50. I'd still bet on it.
So that tweet that I sent out.
Wow.
That shorting Iran, huh? That tweet that I had read aloud from Sean Parnell. You know when Marco Rubio and Trump posted the same exact statement right after the first strike, saying the U.S. had nothing to do with it. Yeah. Alex Pfeiffer, who I'm not going to mess up one of the deputy assistants to the president, and principal deputy communications director, he has posted the same exact thing that Sean Parnell had posted. This is not true. American forces are maintaining their defensive posture, and that has not changed. We will defend American interests. So this is literally copy and paste, and several Trump administration people are posting this right now.
I think the likely scenarios I mentioned is U.S. forces protecting the Strait of Hormuz get attacked, or we have Iranians in the country right now that crossed through Joe Biden's porous border, and they engage in some kind of attack, retaliation against the United States.
The sleeper cell situation.
And then the media comes out and just says, we were attacked by Iran. It's Joe Biden's fault. That's going to get all of MAGA, not literally all of them, but a lot of MAGA people are going to be like, you see, we can't let them do this. This is Biden's fault. Yep. Trump's just responding because they attacked us. And that's how you get in the war. Yep. So I think Polymarket's right.
I think it's probably still at 50-50. Even with their
67%.
Yeah, that's quite a spike.
Yep.
Quite a spike, you think?
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yes.
But I mean, I don't know. I would love to see the U.S. somehow avoid any kind of military action in
just
Iran.
Altogether. Like, I don't want to supply anything. I don't want to help anyone. I just want this country to be good and grow back to being something that's strong and not this mess where
back when we were just largely farming, minding our own business.
It's been a long time since we haven't been at war in this country.
Didn't we get rich on selling weapons mostly?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's been the best thing.
At least we
economy.
sold them back then.
It's disgusting.
Selling them is better than just giving them away.
Yep.
For
if
sure.
you want our weapons, great. We're going to sell them to you.
Doesn't Israel buy our weapons?
Yep.
Now remember, if
no,
they buy the weapons
we give
with
them
the
money.
Right.
We actually took weapons from Ukraine that we gave them and gave them to Israel.
We give them way less money
we
than
give
we give
money
other people.
to weapons manufacturers in the United States. They make weapons, then they take those weapons and they give those weapons to the Israelis.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
the United States government gives, we'll just use Israel in this case, gives X billion dollars to a foreign country. The foreign country enters into a purchase agreement of U.S. weapons with the U.S. government. Then the taxpayer dollars that we had given to that country comes right back into the country, but only goes to folks who live in McLean and Reston.
Right.
And I mean,
helps.
Yeah, that's how this thing kind of goes time and time again. Mm-hmm. And here we are talking about modernization and this pivot to Asia. And I mean, this totally throws a wrench in all of that, in all of the, I think, dreams that the Trump base has for his presidency. And still, I think a lot of them still think that he can accomplish what he set out to do. Mm-hmm. The number one way that he differentiated himself were to take on the globalist sacred cows in 2016. It was foreign policy, trade, and immigration. And all those things were so tied together after, 20 years of failed U.S. hegemony and neoconservative leadership.
Yep. And that's what attacked him in the end. Those things rose up against him. And in my opinion, shut the world down. I mean that. Like, I think they shut the world down as an attack on Trump.
So you think that was the whole...
I really
do. The shutdown was the world responding to the Trump presidency?
The world is in like the globalist power.
What I mean.
Yeah, I do.
I mean like Gaia or anything.
Yeah, maybe. It is satanic.
Of course you were going to say
satanic.
Maybe.
It is satanic, but like that is, and it just feels like we're repeating that now. with all this fear of war. Now we have all this domestic stuff happening. All this violence. We started this year with
violence was planned for if Trump became president. I mean, this was
Yeah.
always going to happen.
always
if
the
Trump
case.
became president, because you have Democrat politicians go out there and advocate for political violence against conservatives, and they've been doing that, since 2015.
Consistently.
Remember how this
essentially.
year started? Tesla was blown up.
Yep.
A Bourbon Street terror attack. I mean,
Oh my gosh,
this is
forgot about that.
there has been
You
multiple
forgot about the Tesla and the
multiple
Bourbon, or
a
the-
lot of
the
violence.
Bourbon
in
Street
New
thing.
Orleans.
Yeah.
A lot of violence has been happening this year. It's everywhere.
I mean, Rudyard's not correct, but he's definitely onto something when he's talking about the mood of the country.
Oh yeah,
Clearly,
it's in a dark place.
And the hyperpolarization's only getting more pronounced because I've mentioned this quite a bit, but young people and old people are very different in how they view the world.
yeah.
Boomers largely share a similar worldview. Gen Z, left and right, could not believe in more different of things.
No, they believe in almost completely different realities.
And you can't convince them of anything.
Because
So-
the issue is, they don't have the same definition of sex. They don't have the same definition of
Race.
biology or race or something.
reality.
Yeah, there's no. It's a totally separate understanding of reality. It used to be like with the boomers, when the boomers were middle-aged, when they were in their ascendancy, they had essentially right and left had the same vision of what prosperity is in the United States. They had the same vision of what success would look like. They just had different pathways of the right way to get there. And that's what they were always arguing about. Like when my stepmom who's a Democrat and my dad who was a Republican would argue at the dinner table, it wasn't about what the goal should be. It was about how to attain the goal. And now they have totally different goals if they can even identify what they are in the first place.
Yeah.
And you have the elders of Gen Z, like the Millennials and Gen X, have a completely different worldview as well. Like it's hard to mesh a millennial worldview with a Gen X worldview. And if Gen X, they're supposed to be the leaders, like they've been checked out since they got their first Atari.
Well, notice that we're probably going to skip right over Gen X.
Gen X. Well, you thought that with the silent generation, and then we got Joe Biden. So I would not.
Silent generation wasn't skipped.
No, but they had their only president, I think, was Joe Biden.
Let's go
Silent?
The
No, 'cause-
silent generation.
Their only president was.
I think their only president was Biden, wasn't it?
Well, Reagan was greatest generation. Would you?
Yeah.
You'd consider George
H.W.
H.W.
Bush.
his greatest generation. Clinton,
sure?
Boomer.
Boomer.
Clinton, Bush,
Boomers.
Obama, Boomer. Trump, Saab,
Boomer.
Boomer. Right on the line.
I would say he's a boomer.
Right on the line. He codes it. If he's not, he's
sure-
definitely
yeah.
Boomer compared to Joe Biden, who's definitely silent. Yeah. I guess we didn't. I guess
Yeah.
we were about to skip over the silent generation.
Yeah,
We're about
so
to skip
I
over
mean,
Gen,
Gen
X,
X
too.
has a shot.
So according to ChatGPT, Trump is a silent boomer cusp. He was the I believe the very first year, and George W. Bush and Bill Clinton were all as well, 46.
You don't.
They
think
were all
George-
born in that same year.
And 46 is the first year of the boomer, I believe.
That makes sense.
But they're considered. It's like
Boomer cusp.
it's like how they say Zennials.
Right.
Joe Biden's the only actual silent
Yeah.
of the past 10 presidents.
Yeah.
Let's try again. The greatest generation was H.W., Reagan, Carter, Ford, and Nixon. Wow.
Yeah.
That's it then.
Yeah. Pretty fascinating. But
He was the only one.
all that to say, Gen X still has a shot at a presidency. Yeah.
Maybe.
I mean,
Depending on.
we got what Gretchen Whitmer wants a chance.
Oh,
JB Pritzker, isn't he Gen X? These are all terrible people.
Yeah,
terrible,
I know,
terrible
I know.
people.
but they want it.
But
They do want it.
They want it. What's Gavin Newsom? Is he a millennial or is he a Gen
demons
X?
I
don't have
guess he would be. He's
older
3,000.
than me.
He's an ancient
Yeah.
spirit.
Right.
No, yeah, he's probably Gen X.
He's Gen
And
X,
then
yeah.
so if we see like
Shapiro could be Gen X.
No Gen X presidents.
no, I mean if we see like a Vance Newsom, that's like Gen X versus the millennials, right? Which is like what it's been anyway
Yeah.
in business and everywhere else
Yeah.
for a while
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, pretty interesting. But like, a Gen X president would
Millennials-
be weird.
Millennials
They'd be
are
like, make your own
15% of the
dinner,
House.
America,
Wow.
5 millennials serve in the Senate. That's amazing. 71 millennials currently hold federal elected office.
71 federal. That's interesting.
71 millennials in federal office.
What about Gen Xers, I wonder? They're probably just at home, like microwaving a hungry man.
They don't want to.
But it's like interesting to see, like you mentioned that,
Zero.
Zero.
Not a single Gen Xers. I'm kidding. 180.
I would have believed you,
41% are Gen X.
too. Sounded okay.
That's kind of wild to think.
Yeah.
The Pepsi generation is out there in Congress. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Remember those commercials?
Yep.
Choice of a new generation.
Generation next.
You talked about the boomers kind of agreeing on the ends but disagreeing on the means, and I'll adopt that framing for this. But it's kind of weird to see all of these people who supposedly agreed on the ends and disagreed on the means living in and absolutely hating the world that their leadership and their parenting created.
But that's because they have spent their entire lives, like since since Woodstock or whatever, since they took their first hit of acid, they have been pushing back and rebelling against their parents. And even with their parents dead, they're rebelling against their parents.
Oh,
right? That's still what's going on.
true.
I mean, look at them in the old folks' home. They're all dating each other. They're smoking a lot of weed. They're like, oh, we're cool. It's like, no, you're just
You're gross.
old and slutty.
I'll go hit the No Kings rally.
Yeah.
Yeah, honestly,
That's who's
a lot
out
of those
there.
No
It's
Kings
the
rallies
boomers.
were old. Yes.
yeah, the whole
boomers.
thing.
And the way you can tell that we don't have a king is because you're out here, people. No one cares. You get to do what you want.
Because they are the generation of denial.
Yes.
Like the way they parented.
They
if you
deny
tell them-
everything.
Yes.
They parented Gen X one way, then they parented the millennials the other way. I don't have a chip on my shoulder at all. But they're out there doing like completely different things. They're running around. They're still doing the exact same
And
stupid
if you
stuff
happen
they
to
were
do
doing.
something different than they did as a parent today, they take it as an affront to their
But they-
parenting. I'm not saying
But
all
here's
of
the
you.
other thing too. Here's the other
saying in
thing.
my
Like
experience.
the
Fine.
boomers, like there's this whole. I don't know if you've gotten to this yet, Shane. I know we hang out and talk about this stuff a bit, but there's if you look, there's all these posts from Gen Xers and millennials being like, when I was a kid, I spent a lot of time with my grandparents. They would drop us off for a whole month with our grandparents, and we loved it.
Yeah.
My mom is somewhere. I don't know.
Yes.
She's on a mission
We've
trip or
commiserated on
she's with
this.
her
Yes.
fifth husband. I don't know.
idea.
She's definitely not coming by.
Yeah.
I will say I love my mom. I adore my mom, whatever. You got to say that. She came over on Christmas. If I may for just a moment, I'm sorry, you guys. She came over on Christmas. I made this whole dinner, I cook. I make a whole thing. She comes over. She doesn't eat anything I make. Instead, she eats a kiwi fruit and some feta cheese. And when my son, my kid, he adores you. He looks at grandma and he goes, "Grandma, what are you eating? Mom made this whole thing." I'd been in the kitchen for hours. She goes, "Fuel."
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, boomers. We're good now.
I know. Yeah. I don't see my parents as much as I thought I would. But that is something amongst that generation. Like I just see it. It's a lot of them. I know it's not everyone, because I'm going to get some message like, it's not me. I guarantee it's not you, but it's a lot of you. And it is, I think what you're saying, that rebellion, which I have in me too. But like, I
wanna
swear to you, at
raise
some
my
point
kid,
it does
though.
stop with reality in me. Like I do have some lines in the sand, but my parents just that's how they are.
They're so distant.
Yeah.
They're so distant yet critical.
Yeah.
I wonder. So one of the things that you brought up was how Gen X, even in the private sector, has been skipped over, right? So these boomers are retiring, and then all of a sudden, what are
In the
these
private
companies?
sector, in colleges.
What are they trying to do? Like they're trying to elevate millennials.
Yep.
And there's
The boomers are doing that.
the boomers are
Yes.
elevating. Yes, boomers are retiring, and the boomers that remain are elevating millennials. That's what's happening.
I don't understand exactly why.
And so this
No
is
one knows.
this is my thing. Are they is their refusal to retire into these super late stages of their lives, their refusal to give up power? I mean, I'm a Catholic. We even see this dynamic in the church.
Yep, we sure
frankly.
do. Yep.
Is it they will never admit it, but is it part of an awakening where they realize that they've squandered the inheritance that was given to them by the greatest generation?
No, they don't realize that because they are entitled to it. They feel very entitled to it, and they plan to squander whatever left of it they have so that they don't have to give it to their kids.
And they project that entitlement
They
onto
project
everybody
it.
else.
Yeah, and also don't forget the millennials have really nice CVs because they all have these participation trophies, so they can really pad it up.
Wait, were they the ones that were
Yeah.
actually getting the?
They were the ones
participation?
getting the participation trophies.
Yeah, the millennials. All
Yeah.
right. That's what a shame.
Right.
What a terrible idea that
And
was.
then Gen X is like ultra competent, but they're ultra competent in that way that like people with traumatized childhoods are ultra competent. You know, it's like these are all just trauma responses.
They're ultra
You're
competent,
left-
but completely stay to themselves.
I mean, we were
don't
the-
know how to lead.
we were the
No,
latchkey
don't want to
kids.
leave.
Don't
Like,
want to lead.
Leave us alone, right, Phil? That's it.
We were the latchkey kids. We were the ones that were left to go, figure yourself out most of the time.
And it's no wonder that so many of us voted for Trump and like got the country back. And now we're like, no, you can't go to war. Come on. Just stay home. Make yourself a PB&J. It'll be fine.
It will be fine. I mean,
Make yourself a PB&J. Go to the store, buy some Jif
Right?
and Schmuckers, and shut up.
Yeah.
there's not enough there. Well, I don't know how the idea of war with Iran breaks down among the electorate, but I feel like Trump has to know that it's super unpopular. He's
I think he does know. I bet his advisors are telling him. I mean, he's got Vance, who my guess is probably opposed to U.S. intervention
yeah.
in Iran. And we actually ran a story at Human Events over the weekend with some inside sources who were like, basically, hey, Mr. President, don't do this. Don't go along with that.
Everybody that I
Bannon,
talked
Charlie
to,
Kirk, yeah.
with their heads screwed on straight, in my opinion, are are of the anti-war mindset, and this is here we are. We talked a little bit about the big beautiful bill. We talked a little bit about the appropriations process, but what do you think's coming down the pike? What was one of the things that they tried to handcuff Trump with in the waning days of the Biden administration? What is one of the biggest mistakes that Mike Johnson made as Speaker of the House? It was that $95 billion supplemental spending package.
Wait,
and what did they do?
Was that what got McCarthy out? was like
no, the
Ukraine money?
the debt limit deal plus general government spending levels is ultimately what did McCarthy in. This was in the spring of 2024. It was, Israel gets hit on October 7th. They pass about $10.5 billion, I believe, in aid to Israel. Then 2024 rolls around, and at the time, Mitch McConnell was advocating for attaching a $95 billion supplemental foreign aid package for Ukraine, the Indo-Pacific, and Israel to keeping the government open. He was rebuffed by his conference. That ultimately ends in Mitch McConnell saying that he's going to step down as Senate leader.
Yeah.
That enraged everyone. But one of the mistakes that Mike Johnson made, that Republican leaders made, was they decided to go forward with this supplemental spending package, and it was only $12 billion, $14 billion ish for Israel. It was another $10 billion for our pivot to the Indo-Pacific, and another $60 billion was for Ukraine. And it was one of the things that folks that I knew on the Trump campaign were concerned that it was going to blow up the coalition in the run-up to the election, because if these are the leaders that we have, if this is the Congress that we have,
Yeah.
when President Trump returns, and they're kind of going along with this play to handcuff President Trump and his foreign policy decisions and his ability to make peace, then, what's the point? What's the point of all this? And so they were concerned that Trump was going to win the election and go in there without both chambers. Yep. They were concerned that that was going to cost them the trifecta. And frankly, in a certain way, it almost did. It really almost did. And we're going to have another supplemental spending package, another foreign aid package coming down the pike with what's going on right now in Iran, for sure. Because Libya, you said this earlier, and I keep saying things that Libby has said.
Not Libya.
I said Libya, but not Libya.
You could go back to middle school and it haunted me by calling
I'm
me
sorry.
Libya. Yeah.
What Libby said earlier, because she made a lot of good points, which is that Israel says that they can do this thing alone, but the retort to that is they actually really can't, because just as Iran is facing restrictions or limitations in their own capabilities, the Israelis are going to face that too, and it's going to push Congress in the direction where they're going to have to act. And what are they going to put in that package? That's what I'm concerned about. Are we going to do more Ukraine nonsense because we had to reposition assets away from the region, and so we have to replace those things? Are we
almost
going
guarantee?
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.